Wow. That's a thing, isn't it? Extraordinary. Questions? Come on, there must be questions.
Sorry, I'm a little confused, but do we still talk now about new birds that came into existence just before the KT event, or has cladistics squashed that particular?
No, absolutely. That's just a piece of cladistic trickery. So the Neanderthals come into existence well, we're pushing them further and further back now. We've got very much Cretaceous animals. The name's gone out. I'm so sorry. I every so often I have trouble with nouns, and I can see is the wonder chicken. It is. I hate that term, wonder chicken, but that's the only thing that's stuck in my head. And it'll come to me in a moment. But it is basically it is a very basal member of the galliforms. So the chickens and all of their relatives, all of the non-duck basal Neanderthals. It is from 100 million years ago. So we've got the diversification now. We've got things splitting off. We've got a duck, a distinct duck in the Cretaceous. So the vast majority of groups are actually evolving and appearing before the KT event. It turns out from a really interesting analysis that was done probably going back close to 10 years now, looking at why some birds made it through and others didn't. And again, the diversity of birds in the Cretaceous is massive, huge. I mean, so Confuciusornis is 125 million years. It's still got claws, but it's got a beak. It's not the same beak as our modern birds. It's a separately evolved beak. But we've got an incredibly diverse group of birds. In Antiornithines, the opposite birds where their toes are around the other way. Hugely diverse. And Antiornithines, Confuciusornithines, most of the Neanderthals go extinct before. And what we think is the case is it's those birds which were ground nesting, survived and came through, things like Lithornis. They survived because in the KT event, when a big old chunk of rock hits what's now Mexico, flattens everything, it blots out the sun for 6 months, trees die. And so things that were living in them and taking advantage of them go extinct as well. Those ground nesting birds were able to survive. So yes, in answer to your question, sorry, no, we haven't changed the name. We know what birds are. But from a cladistic point of view, actually, we have to include everything from the last common ancestor between birds and crocodiles on the bird line is bird lineage. That's really what it means.
There was a question at the back. Here we go.
So you were speaking about with the baryonyx being able to tell that it had definitely eaten the fish scales
Yes.
because of the acidification.
Yes.
How do you visually see that in the fossils themselves?
That's a really good question. You will see that they are damaged around the edges, and we can do that. There are all sorts of experiments that we can do. So taphonomy, where you put things through certain chemical conditions, heat, pressure, all sorts of other things, and see what comes out the other end. My first paleo job was working in Bristol, and I worked on fossil embryos from 525 million years ago, Cambrian fossil embryos, little tiny squatty worms and what have you. And when you've been in the ground for 500 million years, the question is anything here geology, or is there anything here biology, or is it all geology? So what we did was we took little squatty embryos of worms and things which were not ethically questionable and rotted them. What actually happens? And it turns out if you are a little tiny embryo, if you are preserved, if you start to mineralize in 4 weeks and stabilized, there's a good chance you'll last for 500 million years. If you don't mineralize, if the chemistry isn't such that you don't start to mineralize in that time, you're snot and you're gone. Okay, so we can do all sorts of experimental paleobiology, experimental paleontology to ask and answer what these questions is and work out what it is we're seeing. And those scales are acid etched, and the only thing it can be, because it's not going to be from a lake, not then. Now you probably have got acidic lakes, or probably what dissolves in. But back in, I'm being facetious, but back in the day, it would have been acid etched from stomach juices. That's pleasure. Did you have a question?
It was just the, oh, sorry. Just to repeat for me the name of that that program by Darren Naish. That there is on the Apple
Prehistoric
TV.
Planet on Apple TV.
Prehistoric Planet.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And you can go to Apple TV directly to Apple TV, or you can get it as a widget on Amazon or all sorts of things. I'm making nothing from this. I just think it's brilliant and I want people to see it.
So I have a question, which is to do with, I can see how exciting it is to keep finding new dinosaurs.
Mhm.
And I understand that that must be hugely driving and all the rest of it. But it strikes me, or perhaps just what I haven't heard is the, and perhaps I should be talking to the iguanodon people or something, but why are we not finding lots and lots of the same dinosaurs in
But
the
we are.
same
No,
zones?
but we are, and I
right.
think the thing is, to become a fossil is extremely rare.
Yeah.
And of hundreds of thousands. So there was an estimate done not so long ago that in the 10 million years that T-Rex existed, throughout that time there were 2 billion T-Rexes. We don't have 2 billion T-Rexes in our museums. We wouldn't have room for anything else. But we have a few specimens. We have a few specimens of lots of different taxa, but every so often we get one or two of something new.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the reason that we don't hear about the 758th iguanodon is because no one wants to hear about the 758th iguanodon. And I say, most people don't want to hear. But they do want to hear about the new one with the sail on its back that's been named after Ellen MacArthur, and it's it's hard to believe, but sometimes dinosaurs are boring as well and don't make the news.
Now, I, as I preface my remark, I understand the excitement of finding something new, but like the man from
Jeremy.
No, Jurassic Park
Oh, yes.
didn't say that if they move in flocks, then if one of them's dying and getting preserved, then why aren't many of them at the same time, sort of thing?
Well, in some cases there are. So Confucius ornis, which is this bird that I described, it's the first bird with a pygostyle, so it doesn't have a long bony tail.
Right.
Still has 3 fingers, and it's lost the teeth in its jaw. It does have a beak, but it is a differently evolved beak from the Neornithines. In some places, so Archaeopteryx, which is the first bird, there are 13 specimens. They're all from a roughly 10-kilometer stretch of Bavaria.
Right.
In China, in some beds, there are in fact, if you go to IVPP in Beijing, the Institute of Vertebrate Paleontology and Paleoanthropology, they have got rooms filled with complete specimens of Confucius ornis, thousands of them, because it turns out these flocks were flying over a lake, and in an event, there's a lake in, where is it, in Malawi? No, Cameroon. That every so often it belches CO2 and it spills out and it kills all the livestock and everything. Yeah, probably that's what happened. A flock of birds flying over a lake, blop, they all die, hit the water, sink to the bottom. It's a nice calcareous, lots of good calcium-rich sediments washing in, which cover them up very quickly in a nice thick limey mud. They sink down. They all preserve beautifully. So we do get it. The trouble is, where we find those things is where there is water.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs aren't aquatic. So in some places you go down to Lyme Regis, and you can find, if you go and look, I've never been lucky enough, and I'm gutted because I've worked down at Lyme Regis quite a bit now. I've never found any vertebrae, but there are people who go out on fossil walks, and every single fossil walk, someone comes back with a little ichthyosaur vertebra. Well, you're going to find them because number one, there's a lot of vertebrae, and number two, they're dying in the water, and that's a better place. You're less likely to, more likely to get covered up with mud, and so preserved. If you're dying on a savanna, you're less likely to be preserved. However, if you die on a savanna, you're more likely to be preserved than if you die in a forest. And I say that because that's quite important, because there's a brilliant, wonderful record of humans. There's a rubbish fossil record of chimps. I don't know if there's anything which is definitely a chimp ancestor, chimp lineage fossil. Because in forests, it's hot, it's humid, things decay, they rot away, they get eaten immediately. Fall down on a savanna, the wind blows dust over you, covers you up and what have you, you have a better chance of survival, of survival, of preservation. Survival in the fossil record, that's the way to go. Long term, you know, if you survive and no one knows about you, does it really matter? But if you're kept in there and no one, your name is synonymous, everyone knows who Lucy is.
Very good. That's interesting. Yes. Anything else? Yes, here we go. So,
Neil, are any Spinosaurs coming out of China?
Yes, I forget the name. There's one, and I forget the name of it. That's terrible, isn't it? Yes, we have got specimens from Southeast Asia. And I forget. I'm sorry. Off the top of my head, I'm not pulling it out. They tend to be the Spinosaurine taxa, and I don't work on those, and that's awful, isn't it? I should know the names at least. Now, yeah, but now, and China's odd. China's really strange. Because pretty much anywhere that you go, any time zone, so you go back to the Cambrian, the Phanerozoic, it starts at 542 million years ago. Phanerozoic means visible life. That is where we have fossils. That means the other preceding 4 billion years has nothing particularly exciting. There's some great stuff, but it's not big, showy fossils. Go to China and you go to the Cambrian and you'll find the earliest animals. You'll find embryo fossils. You'll find all sorts of things. Come a bit further forward, you've got the earliest fish. You've got all sorts of amazing things. The dinosaur fossils are phenomenal. The birds, the early mammals that are preserved with their full shaggy coat of hair, absolutely phenomenal. But they haven't got any very good Spinosaurs. Spinosaurs are really annoying because they're all bitty. Baryonyx is the best specimen that we have. Absolutely, hands down, the best specimen. Otherwise, they are like I showed you, bits of skull, bits of tail, fragments of limb bones. Yeah, and I don't know why. But we'll keep looking.
very good. One more. I'll do you first, then.
With the theory of Spinosaurs migrating from Europe to Africa, where was sort of the initial point where they went from crocodiles to Spinosaurs in Europe?
So crocodiles are a distant group from dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, in between crocodiles and dinosaurs, we've got our, well, a whole load of reptiles leading up to pterosaurs plus dinosaurs. So the split goes back well into the Permian, like 250 plus 260, 300 million years ago. The split between crocodiles and dinosaurs. The split between, and this is interesting as well. Okay, Spinosaurs are in a niche, a really interesting niche. They've gone off from 125 million years ago, we go back to the Wadhurst clay 135 million years ago. They're definitely eating fish. They're definitely in the water and have split off from the other megalosaurs, which are just your basic theropod dinosaur. They're in the water. There is no Spinosaur younger than about 85 million years. There's another 20 million years before the end Cretaceous event. But Spinosaurs disappear, and we don't have any. Our paper was published a couple of weeks ago by us, where a Peruvian deposit had been opened up, and these teeth have been described. We've got Peruvian Spinosaurs from the later Cretaceous. Unfortunately, they're not Spinosaurs. They are crocodiles. We ran them through our analysis. They're not. It's brilliant that we've now got access to the Peruvian fossil record that we never had before, but they're not Spinosaurs. There aren't any. And it's really hard to work out why. So there must be some competition. The question of how Spinosaurs get into the water in the first place, because by the time they get in 145 million years ago, there's already ichthyosaurs, there's already plesiosaurs, there are all the giant fish that are still eating fish and doing. So they're competing directly, and then they disappear by 85, 80 million years ago. Gone, none of them. So the question is, why is this? What's happening? And I think it's almost certainly competition with other groups because at about 90 million years ago, ichthyosaurs go extinct. 100 million years ago, there's no ichthyosaurs after 90 million years. They did not go extinct because of a giant lump of rock hitting Mexico. They went extinct for another reason. If you look at 100 million years ago, you've started got these large monitor lizards, things closely related to Komodo dragons that are alive today and other monitors, going into the water as the mosasaurs. Again, Jurassic World, fantastic. It couldn't have eaten a helicopter. We're talking about things which were up to about 10, 12 meters long. That's pretty big. I wouldn't want to have met one. But they've gone in, they've expanded and outcompeted ichthyosaurs, probably. There's a good chance as well that the Spinosaurs, which are around the edges of the water, because I don't buy the idea that that Spinosaurus is in the water as an aquatic pursuit predator. I don't think that works. So they are on the margins, and they're not as good at competing as things which are actually in that environment, better adapted for it. So I think that's where they disappear. But dinosaurs split from crocodiles at least 250 plus million years ago. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Thank you. It's kind of, well, one question before and then one kind of linking from that now. So the little bump on the top of the head that lots of the Spinosaurs seem to have, what was the function, do we think, of that? And also, what is it that puts you off the idea of the aquatic pursuit sort of line of hunting?
Okay, so the thing on their heads, this is a really nice. So Ceratoseucops means horned crocodile face. In fact, it's Ceratoseucops infrarodios, which means horned crocodile-faced hell heron, because we think that it was standing on the edge of or in water margins up to its thighs or whatever, and jutting its head in like a hellish heron, or hooking something out with its big old claws. What are the lumps and bumps and what have you? Because we've not got the horns, but we've got big protuberances of bone around the eyes and on the front of the head. What I suspect we have are display structures. You could have put a big horn on the top, that big horn in the middle. I think where, it's sort of, look at me, aren't I amazing? I can catch fish and I've got a wonderful head. Let's have babies. I think that's probably what it comes down to. Why don't I think that they are aquatic pursuit predators? Number one, heavy bones in the legs. The rest of the body is too filled with air. They're theropods. They've got these pneumatic air sac systems, just like birds today. So most of their torso is really spongy. So the legs would keep them in the water, maybe up to their bellies, but they're not going to be, I don't think they're going to be swimming. I mean, the hypothesis was that they've got these elongate spines on their tails like a newt. It's not like a newt, because a newt has a skin fold, and it's a structure for saying to the lady newts, hello, I'm over here, look how good I must be. I don't buy it. There are lots and lots. The main one is the buoyancy issue, but there are lots and lots of other hypotheses for what they could be doing that doesn't put them swimming at 20 miles an hour catching a coelacanth or a sailfish or any other kind of fish. What I will do, do you have like a web page or a homepage or anything that people can find a website? I'll find you, I'll get Hone and Holt's 2020-ish, Hone and Holt's, which give a whole list of all of the other hypotheses for what it could be doing. It doesn't rule out the aquatic pursuit predator, but it says, look, there's this, and this. People who like the aquatic pursuit predator have just said, we don't like that, we don't like that, we don't like that, we don't like that. And again, I'm being facetious, and I'm they have reasons, but there are more reasons to explain it as something other than it's really weird. I mean, and things can be weird and things can be odd, don't get me wrong, but that's super weird.
But it's clear from the morphology or the lifestyle and morphology of modern birds that the idea of standing in the shallows and stabbing fish as they grabbing fish or
Yeah.
biting fish as they go past is a perfectly reasonable
It is.
lifestyle.
No, you're really right. You're absolutely right. But then there is a weirdo bird that does catch fish, and it has a body plan which is really well adapted for catching fish. It has a tuniform, which means tuna fish shape, tuniform body plan, the same shape as, and if you look at the silhouette from above, it is exactly the same shape as a shark or an ichthyosaur or a tailless plesiosaur. It's a penguin.
Yes, of course.
Penguins do it very well. And what do penguins have that is different from other birds? They have big, dense, heavy bones to overcome. So there's things which say that they are definitely in and near water, but it's how much they are in and near water, which I think is the question.
Yeah, I think Tolkien had it sorted out. Do you remember Gollum?
Yes.
Gollum occupied the same ecological niche, scooping the fish out with his long claws.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, let's wrap it up there. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure. Thank you.
That was absolutely fascinating. Lots to think about and lots to go and see in a week's time. It'll be going for a number of months after that, but make sure if you've enjoyed this that you go and see the exhibition at the museum. It will be worth it. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you.